Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start recording right now. And I can, would you prefer that I send the file or upload it to like a private YouTube?
Okay, thank you.
Oh, that was a question. Which would you prefer, YouTube or
Oh,
a file?
what was what you cut out? What was the
Yeah.
question?
Would you prefer we send it to you as a YouTube link or as like a video file?
The YouTube link I think worked better because we tried the
Okay.
video file for the other thing and we couldn't open it.
Okay, gotcha. Will do. All right, so I'll go ahead and introduce myself. My name is David Hillis, and I'm a senior business analyst at Soliant Consulting, and I'm a certified Salesforce administrator. And so today we were going to talk a little bit about importing data into Salesforce and what the options are and what the considerations are. So when you're going to go and import data, you have a couple of different options, and so it depends on what you're looking to import. So are you familiar with Salesforce objects and sort of the distinction between those things?
No.
Okay, so in Salesforce, you have different types of data, and those are called objects. And so these tabs that you see at the top of the screen, for example, accounts, contacts, and leads, are each separate objects. And each of those objects has a discrete set of data that they track, which are called fields. And those objects are related to each other by relationships, and those are called either lookups or master detail relationships. And so
Right.
basically, those relationships are essentially like it's a data field that just stores the ID of the associated field. So, for example, when you go to a contact, then it's going to have a relationship with the account, so that each contact is going to have a field called account, and you're able to go and look up the different account and associated with it. And on the back end, the way that that's done is rather than having like the account name, it actually has an ID that's stored that says, hey, this specific contact is related to this specific account. And each instance of like a contact or an account, I'm going to refer to as a record. So, each specific contact, for example, let's say, uh, you know, Jesse Abelson would be a specific contact record. So does that terminology make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So when you want to import data, I believe you need to be a system administrator or be logged in as a system administrator. So that's a limitation. And depending on what you're looking to go and create in the system or what data you're looking to update, then you have two options. You can either use the data import wizard or an outside application called Data Loader. So I'm going to go with the data import wizard first because that's a little bit more user friendly. So to get to it, you want to click on this gear button up here and click setup. I already did that. And that opens the setup window in a new tab. And the setup is kind of where the administrator has all the tools that he or she needs to perform a lot of configuration functionality. And you have this quick find, which sort of is a big menu that shows all the different things you can use to navigate. And you'll just import data, import wizard in there, and it will constrain it as you type ahead. And so we're going to click on the data import wizard. And then to get it started, you're going to say launch wizard. And so for data import wizard, you have you're kind of limited to the things that you can go to import in. So you're able to import in accounts and contacts. You're able to import in leads. You're able to import in solutions, and you're able to import in contact numbers, but nothing else. So you can't deal with like opportunities using the data import wizard. You have to use data loader for that.
Okay.
And the other thing that you can do is you can import custom objects. And these are non-standard Salesforce objects, so things that are specific to your organization. So like patient flights, you would be able to import using the data import wizard, or what would be other ones? Households, or I'm trying to find other good examples. Engagement plans, that kind of thing. So you are able to use that. There's also a limitation to the amount of data that you can import. My sense is that your organization doesn't really work in super high volumes, but I think about 50,000 records, so like 50,000 rows on your Excel spreadsheet is sort of the hard limit for what you can actually go and import.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any questions about that?
No.
Okay, and so what exactly are you looking to import? Because that can kind of help me focus. Is it primarily going to be like accounts and contacts, or are there other things you would be looking to import?
Well, to get, we have a master list that we want to
Mhm.
enter into the system. It's just confusing. When I asked Michelle how to do it, she kind of gave like formulas, and there was these other things. So it's
Yeah.
on paper, it looked really scary. So I
Yep.
don't even know how to just do a basic import of anything. If you know, if they sign up an entire company memberships or anything like that, and we have a huge bulk list,
Hmm.
getting that into the system is just, that's kind of, I guess, what we need.
Sure. And is that list usually like contacts, or would it be like opportunities? Like, you know, these people have, you know, agreed to do like an individual plan or a family plan. Is that kind of the primary way that you'd be using it?
Yeah, but I think it would be accounts and contacts.
Okay,
I'd like
great.
to see what that looks like.
Sure. Yeah. So I'll walk you through that process. And so with those limitations sort of mentioned, and I think the other piece is that you're using the nonprofit starter pack, or I'm sorry, they relabeled that the nonprofit success pack. And so there are some implications to that. Where I believe when you create a contact, then as a default, the
Wait,
system
how do we
creates.
know, how
I'm
do we
sorry.
know we're in that starter pack? Sorry.
Oh, that's just the way that your system is configured. And so you can see when you go to the
Oh,
app
okay.
that you have the
So we don't have
nonprofit
to do
success
anything to
pack.
get in. Okay.
Yeah, and so basically that's what that does is it'll create household accounts on the back end. So you probably, if you know that what you're needing to create are household accounts, then you just need to create the contact, and the system will automatically create that household account as a downstream implication. You know, basically as part of like an automated process. So the creating an account or creating a contact that's not associated with an account automatically triggers the generation of an associated household account. Does that make sense the way
Okay.
I've articulated that?
I think so.
Okay. So you would have your spreadsheet, and your spreadsheet needs to be saved as a CSV format. So I have this sample, which is the raw data. And for a CSV format, basically that just means you can only have one tab of the spreadsheet saved. So like in this case where we have two tabs, each one would need to be saved as a separate CSV file.
Okay.
And so you would select what you're looking to what your data type is, and then you have the option to add new records, to update existing records, or to add new and update existing records. So let's say hypothetically for this one, we know that these are all new contacts. We would select add new records, and basically you'll have the option to match the contact by name or email. And so I'm going to say email because that's a little bit more likely to be unique. And you want to match the account by the name of the site. And then, or if you don't want to do that, you can just do none. So let's say that we just want to go and create the contacts. We'll have this be like a very simple use case.
So what does it mean by match contact by email?
Yeah, so what that typically means is that if there's an existing contact, then that's how the system is going to go and track down like, hey, you already have a record for this contact.
Okay.
Yeah, and so you have these different options, and yeah, similarly for the account, you know, you can say like, oh well, we have an account, you know, that's named like the Davis household, and the site is, you know, this other piece. So these are probably the same account. And then you have the ability to say, you have the ability to do a little bit more specification. So like if you know the Salesforce ID or the account name, you can use that to match against the set if you're using that. And so you have a lot of options and ways to specify what you're looking to do.
Okay.
So then you have the CSV file, and you can either click on this to go and choose the file if you know where it's stored, or you can just drag and drop your CSV to upload. So I happen to know that this is stored in the HAA folder, data migration, HAA contact extract. And so then we're going to do that, and we're going to click on next. Oh, I think we got Fred in. We'll give Fred a second to see if the audio comes in. And just so that you have a reference point, I think I just uploaded a version of like this file.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the file that I had uploaded. Is that Fred? Hi, Fred. Are you on? Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you.
Hey, I'm glad you're able to make it. And are you able to see my screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, perfect. So I was just walking Jennifer through one of the options to import data just to get you caught up, and that's called the data import wizard. And you can use it to import accounts, contacts, leads, and custom objects. But you do have a hard limit. I think that limit is not going to be as much of a concern for you because it's 50,000 records at a time. So we've gone through the step where we basically went and we uploaded the CSV file. And so what Salesforce will do is it'll go and basically process what's stored in the header field, and it'll try and track down. It will try to track down what field is related to that. And so, for example, I called the field in the CSV last name. You can see that right over here. And so Salesforce went in and it figured out, oh, it's called last name. So this is probably the field it's looking to map to, last name on contact. But if it gets it wrong, then you can click on change. And so let's say instead of middle name, this is actually, some other field. Let's say that it's actually suffix or something. Then you can go and select the correct field and then press map. And that'll go and update that. And then if it may be that for some reason it can't quite match up the name, so then you can go and select map and go and find the field that it does. So say that this was a strange name, but it's actually birth date, so I can go and select birth date, and then it goes and assigns that. And so that would be that. And so then once you've gone and you've kind of mapped up all of the fields in the CSV to where you want them to map to in Salesforce, you'll click on next. And then basically it's saying, okay, this is how many fields you have mapped. This is how many fields you have unmapped. And if that all looks correct, then you just click on Start Import, and it'll go and import those files. So that's really kind of the data import wizard at a high level. Are there any questions about that one?
No.
No, I don't. No, that seems okay.
Okay, great. So I'm going to quit out of that because we don't actually want to import that data because it's already been imported. So, that's basically the way that you can use the data import wizard. Now, let's say that you are wanting to go and import an opportunity, or you want to go and create contacts and associated opportunities. You cannot go and create opportunities using the data import wizard, So you'll need to use a system called the data loader. And the data import wizard is very, kind of user facing and user friendly. And the data loader is a little bit more complicated and a little bit more, a little bit trickier to use because this is kind of made for people who need to update kind of large volumes. So I think you can update up to 5 million. You can add up to 5 million records at a time versus the 50,000, and it gives you a lot more flexibility to go and specify things. Now, the downside of that is that that you have to you have to go and like use IDs and things like that, and basically you don't have Salesforce sort of doing all of the thinking or doing a lot of the thinking for you in the way you do for the data import wizard. So I'm going to go and open. One of the CSV files that we used toward the end, and that would be. This one might be a good one to look at. No, that's not the one. Did they have that up? Oh, I have that up. Sorry, that's the one. And so you can see that what I've done here is I broke it down so that each of these rows represents a contact and an opportunity and an account. Or I'm sorry, no, contact and an opportunity. The account they were all associated with one account. So, but so we just kind of stored all of the data there, and you can see that this is a lot less, a lot more in depth and a lot less user friendly, let's say. And you have to have a lot more specific data included in here. So basically, the way that it works is that you'll have your CSV file, and it's been formatted just so. And then when you're ready to upload it, then you have the option to insert, in which case you're going to create all new records. You have the option to update, in which case you know that these are all records that are already in the system, and you're just going to go and do some modifications to them. Or you have the option to upsert, in which case you're going to say, hey, some of these are going to be new records, and some of these are going to be records that are already in the system. And I want you to update the ones that are in the system and create new records for ones that are not currently in the system. And it also allows you to do some deletion if you want to. So if you're able to go in and export the found set that you want to delete, then you can go and then upload that as a CSV, and the system will delete all of these at the back end. So say that I made a mistake and I had like one data field that was wrong for all of the files that I uploaded. Then I can go in and basically delete them. You also have the ability to do a hard delete. So when you delete things, they basically will go into your recycle bin for a short period of time, I think a couple weeks or a month. And then after that, the system removes them entirely. But that way, if you delete something in error, you're able to kind of go back and retrieve it. You can also use it to export data, and you have the option to export like a specific object, or you have the option to export everything. So do you have any questions about that so far?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Great.
But I think when you, if I group membership group right now, if I like to update it, when you say update, so when the membership go ending, like it's expired, so how I can change it? So maybe I don't have to enter all the name again. So do I have to download the data loader, or I have it on Salesforce?
So would the membership be represented as an opportunity?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if it's an opportunity, you would need to use the data loader. And if it's basically what you're needing to do is essentially just go in and edit a lot of opportunities, then you would want to use the update. But if the membership expired and you need to track that as a new opportunity, because we want them to sort of re-engage or restart their membership, and your organization tracks that as a new opportunity, you will need to do an insert.
Okay. Another question. If I made a mistake when I enter a contact on Salesforce, how can I, if I make two, like if I enter two contact at the same time by
Mhm.
mistake, how can I delete this contact on Salesforce? Do I have to send you the email or do I have to send it to Jennifer or maybe, I don't know.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that. You were asking if you, how to
Yeah,
handle if you created a duplicate?
yeah. If I enter like a contact twice,
Hmm.
so how can I delete the other one? So like this, I don't
Yeah,
have to try contact on Salesforce.
sure. Well, so one option that you can do, and as a best practice, is you should go and make sure that all of the data in your spreadsheet is clean. So
Mm-hmm.
one option that you have is you can do, I believe it's conditional formatting. Um, let's manage rules. No, I don't think that that's the one. Sorry, give me 1 second here. You're actually able to go and flag duplicates in Excel. Give me 1 second here. Data evaluation. My apologies. I always have this this ready to go, and then there we go, duplicate values. Yeah. So you would click on conditional formatting and duplicate values. And so if there are key fields where you'd be able to flag a duplicate, say the full name or the email, or even like the last name, then you can go and use that feature. And that'll help to go and track it down. So you can see that, there are a couple of the same last names here. And so I can go and evaluate and say, oh yeah, these are different people, or oh, these are the same thing. And so I can go and get rid of one. And then if you get rid of one, then or if you get rid of all the duplicates, then it no longer gets highlighted.
Okay.
So that's one option, and that's definitely best practice would be to go and do some analysis of the data that you have prior to going and uploading it, because it's always once you've gone and you've created the duplicate record, then it's always a little bit of extra work to go and undo it. So to the degree that you can kind of head problems off at the pass, that would be advisable. So the other option, and bear with me for 1 second here while I go and get Salesforce up. There's something called duplicate matching rules, and I just want to see if those are enabled for your organization or not. So let's just take a quick look at that.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like duplicate matching rules are set up, and so basically, like when you go to duplicate contact Salesforce, you kind of give the message telling you, hey, based on these criteria, we think that this might be a duplicate. And if you're worried about there are also ways to like run periodic jobs to like go and check the duplicates, and you can create duplicate reports. I'm not sure if any of those exist in your organization or not, but we can take a quick look to see.
Okay.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't look like there are currently any duplicate reports, but those could be created, and that could be another potential way to go and track that. Any other questions?
No, it's okay.
Okay. So once you have the data the way that you need it to be, and we can kind of just go over what the way that I've organized it here, so you can see that I basically identified the object that the data is related to. So for example, we see that this, and then the name of the field. So we see here that we have the last name on the contact object and the first name on the contact object. And then I have service fields, which I kind of use a little bit downstream, and I'll get into that later. And then I have like the membership level on the opportunity, and the membership start date, and the membership start date on the opportunity, the membership end date on the opportunity, the group membership on the opportunity, which is a lookup field. So that's the Salesforce ID. The account group email, and then the account phone number. So basically, it's all broken down so that you can see what the object is and what the field is for each data point. And that's a helpful way to do it, because then that helps you to kind of keep track of what you're looking at in the system, and allows you to more easily go and track the data. So that's kind of how you would structure your data. And if you're not sure exactly what the field is and how to track it down, then you can go into Salesforce. And again, you're going to be in the Setup tab. And you can click on Object Manager. And so you're saying like, oh, I know that this field is in the opportunity, but it is a membership start date or membership begin date. Then you can type in opportunity to get to the object that you're looking for. And then you can click on the field and relationships. And that's where you can go and track down. So we can say like, well, what is it for membership dates? Okay, yeah, it's the membership start date. And that field name is NPE01 _ membership start date C. And so that's kind of how you can go and track down what the field is called and where, and you can confirm that's where it goes. So that's sort of the way that works. Now, if you're going to be going and creating contacts, accounts, and opportunities, then typically the process for uploading that is to go and upload the account first. And then you would go and associate the account with the contact. And then you would upload the contact. And then you would go and upload the opportunity and associate that with the account and possibly the contact as well, depending on the configuration of your organization. And basically, the way that you do that, and we'll just go and do an insert, and again, I'm not going to actually go through with it, but you would select the way that you're going to create the data, insert or update, whatever you select. And then you'll go and select the objects. So let's say that we want to go and create contacts. I'm going to go and select the contact there. And then I'm going to go and select my CSV file. So I have HAA, data migration, and what is this file called? Family data. And I'm going to select the family data. And then I'm going to click on next. And then the system is going to say, okay, we've done some analysis of this. This is the correct format. It is a CSV, and there are this many records. And you want to just take a look at that to make sure that reflects the data that you have. Sometimes there can be instances where it doesn't. So if it said like this has 200 records, and you're like, oh, I actually only have 999, or I only have like 100 or something, then you would go in and just delete a bunch of the rows below that and try and upload it again. So in this case, I know it's 119, so I'll click OK. And so now you have all of these fields that are listed, and you need to map them to their corresponding fields in Salesforce. And the way that you would do this is you would click on Create or Edit a Map, and you can go and map the field. So we know that we're doing the contacts, and so I'm only going to do the ones that focus on contact. And so we're going to say, okay, well, it's for the contact, and we want the last name. And then I'm going to go and drag that to contact last name. And we want the first name, and I'm going to go and drag that to contact first name. And we also want to have, I think those are the only fields for the contact. So once I've mapped all of the fields, then that basically gets me where I need to go. And then I'll just click on OK. Or if you're likely to use this a lot and kind of keep this template or naming convention the same across data imports, you can click on Save Mapping. And then that gives you the ability to have a format where those can basically anytime that there's a column called contact : first name prenome, then it'll know to map that to the contact first name field. And then once you have that, then you can say choose existing map. And I know that I actually do have that in here somewhere, I think. Give me a second here to let's see. Yeah, so I have some saved for opportunity. So let me go and change this to an opportunity object, just to give you a sense of the savings you can get. So we're going to go and choose the existing object, and we're going to say we want the opportunity. And you can see that it's loaded that, and so it's basically mapped everything so that is where I want it to be. And so that would be how you would use the data loader. And then when all of the fields are mapped, you click on next, and then you basically specify where you want to have the completion notes. And then based on that, then you'll press finish, and that'll start the data loading process. And then once the data is loaded in, then you get the last piece of it, which is the success and error messages. And so what you'll see is that it gives a report of all of the successes. And so you can see that this is everything that was successful that uploaded. And you can see the status is item created. So those were all the successes. And then I'll go to an earlier one that failed. Oh, that one was successful. Sure, the first one failed. Yeah, there we go. And so you can see that at the end it'll say the error, and it was group membership ID value is incorrect. Right? So in this case, I had input text rather than do the lookup ID, and so that was that caused the data loader to fail. And that's kind of the one other consideration is that if there's anything that's wrong on a record, then that record will not input. So even though all of the other fields were correct on this record, the data didn't input. So that's kind of the process for using data loader. Do you have any questions related to that?
No, it's okay for me.
Okay, so now we'll get to that last item, which is the scary and intimidating one that we talked about before, which is basically when you need to go and relate data. So let's say that we have a bunch of opportunities, and we need to relate those to contacts. So I'm going to go and take a look and get that extract. Oh no, I actually don't want that. I want to have this one. Okay, so we have, let's say that we have our opportunities, and we need to update some of this data on the opportunity, and we know all of these contacts exist in the system. So the question is, how am I going to go and track down a match, and how are we going to go and find those IDs for these contacts? And so basically what you're going to do is you need to find a data field that you know is going to be unique for each contact and go and create it. So here, let's assume that we know that the combination, that basically the full name is going to be unique for each contact. So what we're going to, and we don't have that here, so we're going to go and create that. So I'm going to create a row called full name. And then we're going to have that be a concatenation of the first name and the last name. So to do that, we're going to do equal concatenate. And then we're going to identify the cells that we want to include. So that's going to be B2 for this row. And then we're going to add a space between the first name and the last name. And then A2. And then when we press enter, then that's going to give me the full name. And we're just going to go and copy that and paste it down, and that's going to apply for all of those cells. So now I have that shared field. So the next thing that I need to do is I need to get the list of the contacts so that I can go and identify them. So we're going to go to data loader for that, and we're going to do an export. And we know that we're looking for contacts. So I'm going to select contact, and I'm going to call this the contact extract. I'm going to call it the name of the organization, and I'm going to specify that I want to save it on my desktop, and then press save. And then I'm going to select next, and then I'm going to check all of the fields that I need. And really the only things that I need are the ID and the full name, which is always a little bit tough to find on this thing. There we go, the full name. And if there's some criteria that I want to do, so for example, say that I know that like I only want ones that were you know, that have a certain department, then I can go and say, and we actually have to search this out. Then I can go and say that the department, you know, equals, and then whatever the value for the department is. And then go and add that condition. I don't want to do that in this case, but that would be how you could train that to. So as it is, basically, we're just going to get the ID and the full name for all of the contacts. And then I'm going to click finish when I have those criteria, and we're going to generate the export. And we can see that it fully completed, and we got 3,480 records. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to open that new file. Sorry, bear with me for a second here. We'll call this new. Okay, so I've opened up the extract, and so what I need is I need to match the full name and then pull in the ID, and we're going to use a function in Excel called VLOOKUP to do that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to switch the order of the name and the ID, and then I'm going to copy all of this, and I'm going to add it to a new tab in here. So now we have the full name and the ID. So what we're going to do is we're going to compare the full name here to the full name over here on sheet 1. And the way that we do this is with what's called a VLOOKUP function. And so we're going to call this contact ID. And we're going to say VLOOKUP. And what you're going to do is the first condition you're going to input is the thing that you're going to compare. And so that's the full name. And so here we're going to do I2. And then the next thing you're going to input is is basically the universe that you're going to compare it against. And so we're going to click on sheet 2, and you can see that's been added to the function. And then row A2. And we're going to get all the way to the bottom here. Because we want to compare all of the contacts to find where the ID is. So it's basically A2 to B 3481. And then we're going to do the column that we want to have output, which is the ID. So we're going to say 2 because it's the second column. And then we're going to say 0. And 0 means that we'll only return an exact match. And so you can see that I went and I have that exact match. And so then we're going to go and tweak the function a little bit. So basically, one of the things about Excel is that Excel is kind of smart in that basically if you move something down a row, it automatically goes and adjusts things down a row unless you tell it, or if you move things over a row, it adjusts things over a row so that you can go and confirm it. So let's say that we want to make sure that we've got a good match. So we're going to say full name in Salesforce, just to be sure that I didn't make a mistake here and that the ID matches. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a $ in front of either the column or the row to make sure that that data doesn't change when I save it. And so we always want to be comparing against column wise. So I'm going to put a $ there. I'm not going to put a $sign next to row 2 because then it would always compare against row 2. And we actually want that to iterate based on the row that we're on because we want it to compare like I3 in the next row and so on and so forth. And we always want the universe that we're comparing us to be the same. So I'm going to add a $sign A2 and B3481. And then that's not going to change. But then I can copy over here and just say that instead of row 2, we want row 1. So it's going to basically then return the name that I'm comparing against. And so then I can go and iterate on both of these and pull them down. And now I have the matching ID. And I see that there are a couple of instances where maybe like there's probably a space at the end. So if I go, if I go over here, probably add it, oh, there's a space over here. So if I take away the space, then I get a match. And there's a space probably over here. Yeah, take away the space and I get a match. So now I now have gone and I found the ID. So for that opportunity data in here, I can now go and associate that opportunity with the content. And that's how you get the ID. So does that process make sense?
Yes.
And are there any questions about that?
Nope for now.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so right now.
So a couple other pointers that I'll mention in the last couple minutes that we have here. The first thing is that when you're going to go and import data, then what I would recommend is that you should always go and use a very small number of records first just to do a test and make sure that it works. Because with Salesforce, there can be a lot of automations and kind of unexpected things. So like I remember when I was going and importing these, the first thing that I did was I imported just 2 records to test it out. And when I went in, I saw that, oh, there is an automatic naming convention for all these opportunities. So I need to go and turn that off. And so then I went and turned it off, and I only had to go and change the opportunity name for 2 records versus having to change the opportunity name for the 200 records that I was creating. And the other thing is that you really want to make sure that you're mapping out everything before. So it's going to be what would really be kind of a good idea is to even just sort of go and do like a Word document and just say like what data is going where. So, you know, we can say that like, okay, we're going to have the account, contact, and opportunity. And we're going to say that for the account, we're going to port over the name, the record owner, and maybe that's it. The other thing that is always a good idea to do is when you go in, you should take a look, and we'll go over to here and kind of go through the process of actually creating something just so that you're making sure that you're capturing all of the required fields or anything like that. So yeah, I see the first thing I need to select is the record type. So I'm going to go and make a note that we need to have the record type identified. And then next, we see that we need to have the account name. Are there any other required fields? It looks like there aren't. So that's all of that I need to have there. And then we can go and check and say, okay, well, we also know that we have the phone and country code. And then we know that we have the email address. So that's, I think, group email. Oh, maybe there's not one for this tab. So we don't need to put that in. And basically, each of these items is going to become a column in your sheet. And then for contact, we're going to go and just take a quick look at what you need to make a contact. So I know I'm going to go make a contact. I know it's going to be a member. So we're going to say that we need the record type, and we need the record owner. And then for a member, we're going to see that we need last name. And are there any other required fields? Doesn't look like it. And then, whatever other information we know that we have. So we have like first name, phone, so on and so forth. And same for opportunity. We're going to create a new one, and we're going to do a membership. And so we know that for opportunity, I'm going to get back to the formatting. Opportunity, we're going to need the name. And we're going to need the account name. And we're going to get, and we know that the account name is coming from somewhere else, so we need the account ID to get to that. And we're going to need the primary contact. And that's, again, another object, so we're going to need that ID. And then we're going to need the paid date and membership owner and the membership level. Plus the data that we have, so that would be like maybe the amount or something like that. And so that's going to be kind of how you can go and track what the data is that you're collecting, because that's the other piece about Salesforce, is that if you don't input a required field, then the system is going to be, like when you use the data loader or when you go and create these things, the system is going to treat it like you have manually created those things. So it's going to trigger any automation that happens, and it's going to do all of the validations that would happen like any other time that you're going to go and create an account, opportunity, contact, that kind of thing. And if that validation fails, then that data won't import, and it'll be included in the error message.
Okay.
So those would be kind of the last of the recommendations that I would have, is just, be very clear about what you're mapping and make sure that you're capturing all of the fields that are required, even if those are not included on the data you've been given to upload. And always work with always have just one or two records as like your test sample first, and use those to kind of iron out all of the kinks. And then once you've done that, then you're going to be good to go and upload them in bulk.
Okay, good.
And it can be very beneficial to work off a single sheet, because sorry, if I can get back to the other one where I'm not seeing that anymore. I must have closed it. Bear with me for a second here. Integration. Top. So like for this one, you can see that I have, because each of these is a separate item, then I can go and I can basically use this again and again. So I can use the same spreadsheet to create my contacts and then create my opportunities. And so it's a good way to kind of keep track of all the data that you're going to be uploading in one place. So that covers it. Are there any other questions that you all have, or do you feel a little bit more confident about being able to work through uploading data now using Data Import Wizard and Data Loader?
I'm okay with that. So maybe if I miss something like this, I will. Jennifer gonna send me the recording video, so I will practice more with that.
Yeah, the VLOOKUP function, it takes a little bit of time to get used to, but once you have it down, then it's pretty easy, and it makes a lot of sense. So and then you can go and impress all your friends with how well you can use this stuff. Okay, well, that all sounds good. So if there are no other questions, I'll let you go, and we'll get this recording uploaded to a YouTube link I'll touch base with Michelle to get the details on how she did that, and we can get that over to you hopefully in the next little bit.
Great. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you so
Thanks a lot.
much.
Have a good day.